So I'm just going to show you how to quickly remove the background of an image in Photoshop um, at a basic level using the image of Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets. So um, when you open Photoshop, you've got your layers here on the right. So I've just downloaded this image and I've put it on, dragged it basically onto my canvas, and it's created a new layer on the right hand side. So I've just labeled this layer as Jokic here just for this demonstration. So this is how you'll create a new layer when you drag in your image. This image here has a bit of distinction between the foreground and the background here. You can see this image is a bit more, would probably be a bit more easy to work with because the foreground is a bit sharper and then the background's a bit blurry. So this instance makes it a bit easier to demonstrate the subtleties of the tool. So the way to do this is I would go over to your left here and using the selection tool menu, if you see it here, which is this icon, and I would go to the quick selection tool. So your cursor will change to like a little plus. I don't know if you can actually see that there, but your cursor might be really small or might be big. To make it bigger or smaller, you can just use the left and right bracket keys, the square bracket keys next to your forward slash or backward slash, I guess. So that's how you can make them bigger or smaller, or you can use this menu up here in the top. But to select the object, once your cursor has changed to this, I would choose the image first. Then this is where you can use your mouse and use left click and literally start dragging and moving this cursor. So when you see the dotted lines like ants basically marching across your screen, that indicates that that is your selection. So you can see I'm moving the cursor slowly across the body here. And you can see it's basically magnetically picking up everything that it thinks you want. So basically like that, in a matter of seconds, it's essentially selected the whole body. But there are a couple of elements here. If I zoom in using Command plus or Control plus on Windows, you can see there's a few selections here that I haven't really finalized because Photoshop's a bit confused basically with the background. So you can just go in and just do this with a bit more control if you zoom in. So there you go, you can see that the uniform's now fully selected. There's a little bit there that you can select. Most of the face is pretty good. You can make the cursor smaller to really hone in on various details. That little dimple there where the ball is. If you want to deselect an area, so this is a good example, the plus will change to a minus if you hold the Option or the Alt key, so you can see that it's changed there. And I'll minus this selection by just clicking, and you can see that now his whole face and body and head has been selected, but we're deselecting this gap between the arms. Most of the ball looks good. There's a little bit here, but we'll just leave that. And then this little gap here, I think we'll deselect. So just make the cursor smaller again using the open bracket key. Hold Alt and then literally click, and then Photoshop will do the heavy lifting for us. Okay, that's looking good. Then maybe we'll just add in this little nook here. So I'll zoom in using Control plus, minus, make the cursor a bit smaller, and then you can really go into as much depth as you would really want, but that's pretty much good for what I've got right now. You can see that the 1 is deselected as well, but we're going to select that. So you just got to be triple checking what you've selected before you do any sort of cuts or that sort of thing. Okay, so basically that looks pretty good. You'll see that the marching ants indicate your selection. This is where you can use any of your shortcuts to do anything here, but in this instance I'm just going to make this a selection and just cut it out of the image basically. So all you need to do this is hover over to the layer, right click, sorry, not on the image but on the text, and this is where you can create a clipping mask or just basically create a new layer. So what I'll do is I'll create a clipping mask and I'll just leave that as is. So essentially you'll have your selection here ready to go. If you don't want that, you can, I'm pretty sure you can go layer via copy. Or well, there you go. If you right click on the image here, you can just go layer via copy. So that would be the way to do so. So you can turn this layer off here and there's your selection. Yeah. So you can see there's a few bits and pieces on the edge here that obviously that are sort of left as part of the selection, but Photoshop gives you a bit more control to actually clean this up if you need. So for example, there's like a t-shirt which I'll show in a separate video. You can just hit on the eraser tool, and if you want to clean up anything here, you can make the cursor a bit smaller and just use the eraser and sort of clean these up. I know there are faster ways to obviously do this using the selection tool by reducing the area that you've got selected, but this is probably the best way and the quickest way, especially if you're just low on time and you just want to get things done and you don't have time to do it in Canva or you don't have an account. You can probably do it this way if you've got the ability to. Okay, so if you turn these layers off, there's your isolated image, and then you can obviously move this around. Alright, hopefully that makes a bit of sense. If you need any help with the project, just let me know. If you'd like to know anything else about Photoshop or any of the Adobe programs, you can leave a comment and I'll make a new video. Thanks.